What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What up, everybody? It's AC. AC Reviews the World, back at you with another show. And we got a couple of things to talk about. We got some updates for the Dallas high school shooting. Austin Metcalf father. We got some stuff that we're going to talk about that he went through. Also going to talk about Shannon Sharpe. I know everybody's talking about the Shannon Sharpe stuff. His assault charge that he is facing, and they're trying to get $50 million from him. Jesus, man. We also, of course, we're going to look at Pope Francis, who passed away yesterday. But thank y'all all for watching. Remember, this is AC Reviews the World. Remember to like and subscribe, and let's get right into the show, everybody. We're going to jump right into it. First thing we're going to be looking at is for Pope Francis. We're going to look at a little video that they was talking about at NBC. He died yesterday, April 21st. So let's get into it.
Tonight, among the nation's faithful, heartache and tears.
It was just a shocker, it really was.
Pope Francis, the first pope from the Americas, reformed the face of the Catholic Church in the United States, making it more inclusive.
He was certainly a pope of the people.
Through key appointments including Nelson Perez, the son of Cuban immigrants, as the Archbishop of Philadelphia.
He spoke about the dignity of the human person.
His leadership at times polarizing for the 67 million strong American Catholic community.
I'm not one of his biggest fans, but yeah, no, because he's not the most conservative pope. But I still, he's still my pope.
Conservative Catholics accused him of diluting church doctrine, pointing in part to the move away from Latin Mass. But Francis also disappointed America's progressives, who hoped he'd go farther on issues like same-sex marriage and women in church leadership. And while he took significant steps to resolve the clergy sex abuse crisis, survivors argue it wasn't enough. Still, his 2015
So he was doing a lot of things, talking about the sex abuse inside of the church. Jesus. Yeah, but just like any kind of leadership, you're gonna have people who like what you're doing, people who don't like what you're doing, and people who think you're not going far enough. But it seems like he did what he thought was best. So that's, as long as he's not crazy, that's all that matters.
trip to the U.S., a unifying moment, including this stop in Harlem, New York.
They just started cheering as if a rock star had just exited from a car, and he went directly to the children.
Joanne Walsh was the principal of Our Lady Queen of Angels School.
So what he did was he looked at them just in a very grandfatherly way, cupped his ear, and gave them the clue that they weren't loud enough, and then the volume.
Mr. Speaker, the Pope of the Holy See.
That same trip, he became the first pontiff to address a joint session of Congress. He called for compassion for immigrants, spoke out against the death penalty, and advocated for more environmental protections. The trip wasn't just about policy, it was personal, like this last-minute performance in Philadelphia.
They told me 5 minutes before that I was going to go out there and sing, and I just went out there and sang.
For Bobby Hill, it was life-changing.
Being a young black person from Philadelphia, my life would be drastically different if I didn't have that moment.
Now he had that voice. Jeez.
With the Pope and all of his grandeur and greatness.
Bobby says he'll never forget that handshake, that moment.
Something that transcends all of our little, religious sects, that just has to do with being a good human and being a humanitarian. And I feel like there's definitely something that, a lesson that the Pope, should leave us all with, is just to be good humans and to be good to one another.
And Aaron McLaughlin joins us now from New York City, just outside of St. Patrick's Cathedral. Aaron, in terms of American elected and church officials, do we know who will be headed to Rome to attend Pope Francis's funeral?
We're getting some idea, Ellison. Today we heard from President Trump post on Truth Social that both he and the First Lady will attend the funeral, writing, quote, "We look forward to being there." We also know that Cardinal Timothy Dolan, the Archbishop of New York, also plans to fly following a mass that will be said here at St. Patrick's Cathedral in honor of Pope Francis tomorrow afternoon. From there, he'll fly to the Vatican not only for the funeral, but also to participate in the conclave. He is one of 10 American cardinals charged with selecting the next pope. Ellison.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and time.
Seems like I don't know much about the Pope, but seems like he was trying to do everything he could to do his job and do what the people called for him to do. I mean, let's make sure we keep his family and everyone who was truly affected by his death and who are grieving right now. Let's keep all of them in our prayers and just be thankful for everything that he did. Now, the next thing I'm going to get into, we're going to be talking about is Austin Metcalf. So it appears Austin Metcalf's father basically was called by doing a protest from to protect the white Americans. There was a protest going on. Didn't look like a big protest, but it was a protest going on, and he was saying that the father is scared and he should be up here protesting with us. And so one of the people who was against the protest called the father and they had some words, but let's watch a few minutes of the protest so we can understand truly what they're doing, and let's see what they're talking about.
Black and white together. We're standing against black violence against white Americans. It's very simple. We've seen it time and time again. The statistics do not lie. The statistics do not lie. 350,000 white people were assaulted last year in America by black Americans. There is a prevalent gang culture.
Now, it's a lot, but what I've heard and seen, I was trying to look up that number where he found. I don't know where you found that from, but I was looking up, for most cases, the majority of crime or assaults are committed by people who live or around in the same communities as you. So white people usually commit more crimes against white people. Black people commit more crimes against black people. I don't know if we should be bringing, it's a crime problem. I don't think we should just try to go against like, oh, it's a certain race. There's bad people in both races and people who should not be around and should be locked up. So we can't just say, oh, it's one race and it's one race is the problem. That's where we start going downhill on some crazy things. But let's keep watching a little bit more of this before we get into skip right over to where Austin Metcalf's father was called.
There is a prevalent gang culture in America. There's a prevalent gang culture and violent hip-hop culture that has pervaded the young minds of black Americans in this country and turned them racist against their brothers who want nothing more than to lift them up, to live in peace with them.
Few.
Another reason we're at this protest today, all these people that agree with us, but they're in their cars right now because they're afraid to be seen on camera, because they're afraid that they'll lose their jobs. They're afraid that someone will come to their home. That is another reason why we are here today. So when you tell me that white people are not the main victim of racism, that white people are not oppressed, not being put down, nothing you can do to stop us, because this has been an issue for my entire life with my white family members and my white friends, where they've been put down, they've been treated like trash just because they're white. And there's so many people say, oh, it's not true, it's not true. It is true. I see it day after day, month after month, year after year, and I'm tired of the anti-white racism.
You got painted nail.
Anti-white hate. I'm tired of the anti-white violence. I will stand on top of a damn bus and scream that we are going to end this shit right now.
You are telling the truth.
Philip Anderson is a January 6th patriot and hero.
That man right there.
Shoulder to shoulder with me.
He got on Confederate flag and the sign in the back. If you can't see, I believe that says "Back to Blue." All that. I mean, they have a right to protest and do what they think. So I mean, as long as they ain't causing no violence, they can say whatever they want to say.
God bless him.
Why are you guys wearing masks? Why don't you take your mask off? Get everybody back to the designated area. Bunch of fun.
We're good. We're not trying to get too close.
Okay. Take your mask off.
Listen to the cops, guys. Listen to the cops.
No, man. We are too. We're just hanging out. We're just back. Move back. Move back. Just hanging out.
We've got an area for you guys.
Yeah, that place sucks balls.
That's your area.
We can't see or hear anything.
Here, that's your spot. Move back.
This spot.
Move back.
We want you guys to be able to protest. Over here, we have to stay separated.
Yeah, but we can't hear shit.
You have to stay separated.
Due process! Due process! Due process! It's not hard!
Jail right now. You better be served today. There is a killer on the loose in Frisco, Texas. His name is Carmelo Anthony.
He's saying there's a killer on the loose. Even, see, I don't know if they're saying because it was the low bond, but they got to know that even if the bond wasn't lowered, he would have still gotten out. He has enough money. It would have taken a few days, but he would have gotten out. Like, it would be same place it is. He's not walking around. He's on bond. He could afford the bond. It's nothing crazy.
He has a knife, and he's coming for your children next. At a peaceful track meet, our children are being slain, gunned down, and murdered. How can we not condemn this? How can weakness, fear, cannot...
Now he's just using what happened. How I feel and what my thoughts are is that they're both 17-year-old kids. He definitely doesn't need... Carmelo definitely does not deserve self-defense, of course. But I don't know if they can charge him with full-on premeditated murder. Because I think it was just a... And my thing, I think they were just stupid kids, got in a fight. Carmelo lost his temper, ended up killing Austin Metcalf, and he deserves to go to jail for however much time. That's going to be a substantial time, and that's what he deserves. Now, if they can prove that it was murder, but main thing I'm thinking is manslaughter, but because I think they got to prove intent for a murder charge, and I don't think he had the intent to kill it, because I don't think he would have. I don't think they ever met each other before. He didn't plan on who he was going to meet. So I don't know any of that, but I don't think he was just out here trying to kill white people. No, I don't think I don't think Austin Metcalf was out here trying to bully black people. I think it was just a kid who got into a scuffle, who went to two different schools, which I personally have seen plenty of times. It's always been sports events. Yes, we get into another school. We're not thinking about, as a kid, we're not thinking about if he's white or black. No, we were just thinking about, he's at a different school and he's in our spot, or he's at our location, or he is in our space to where it's just for our school. So we would buck up. And then I've been in where we'd be like, touch me and see what happens. And then we start fighting. It's a normal thing that teens go through. That, of course, fighting is always bad, but it's something that you are expecting. You don't expect to get your life ended, or you don't expect to where you need to take a life in those situations. But let's watch a little bit more of this and then just jump right into the Austin Metcalf's father. We really need to learn his name, but Mr. Metcalf, we'll just call him that. But let's watch some more of this.
I live in the heart of patriots. Injustice. If those numbers do not scream an untenable situation.
No lynch mobs!
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 No Trump! No KKK! No racist USA!
No Trump! No KKK! No racist USA! Ask yourselves this question.
You killed.
It's not a big protest. It's barely anybody out there. At least what I can see from the Kangaland. There's barely anybody.
Ask yourselves this question. God bless America.
You killed police
Thank you. Ask yourselves this question. Why were
Get that out of my face.
a group of 95% white people, the January 6 ones that were persecuted, because there were every race, color, creed, and stripe there. But the ones they came after, 95% white arrest.
Now we see what basically the protest was about. They were talking basically what the name suggests, that protect white Americans, but we should be protecting all Americans. There should be, maybe it's just like the Black Lives Matter. They're just trying to say that's their problem. But all right, let's get into the Austin Metcalf's father, and we're going to jump right into it, skip ahead a little bit. Let's see what he was saying. So this is who called Austin Metcalf's father.
You have a father that's out of respect asking you not to put his fathers who are not dealing with grief. You've talked for an hour. So if you want to address, I can give you after I give this message. The bottom line is this. You have a father that's out of respect asking you not to put his son's face in a place. How do you say you're going to represent people when you can't respect the will of the people?
Let me respond, guys. There's too much peanut gallery.
That's not what his father said. His father did not say that.
Can we please let me respond?
So you believe,
You believe. I'm having a conversation between you and I. Listen to this.
Yeah.
Austin Metcalf is no longer Austin Metcalf. He is a symbol. He is a symbol of young white people being predatorized and victimized.
Now you see how he picked up the phone quick, ready to call him? Let's hear what the father has to say.
Every single day living in fear. He is living in fear. Our people in this country are living in fear. Austin Metcalf is no longer just his son.
Jeff, hold on. Jeff, do me one favor. Because there seems to be an issue that you're okay with Austin's name being plastered with this particular movement. Now, I've already addressed that. So now I want you to say one more time that you agree with your son's name and face being attached to this movement.
Hey, Jeff Metcalf, this is Jake Lang here. I wanted to talk to you, not be led into a question. This is an illegal argument. This is called leading.
Do you agree with your son?
Can I have a conversation with you?
No,
he
said this is leading. He's literally, that's the reason he called him, was to say for the fact that the father does not agree with what you're doing and what kind of protest you're leading.
You could have called him before that. You could have called him out of respect.
I've been reaching out. I'm one of the biggest figures in America.
Jeff,
nobody's ever
I've given you a message. I've given you your message, and here's the
all
response.
Family members, everybody I could find.
I've given you your message, and here's the response.
You've not given my message. You've given your message.
What he said was this. What he said was this. He said that you, as a father, should be on the bus with him, delivering the message that he's delivering. Unfortunately, he's not a father, and the gentleman with is not a father. Maybe they don't understand what loss is. But at the end of the day, I've given your message, and they thought that it wasn't your message.
Let me have 1 minute of my message to Jeff Metcalf.
Call him.
Okay, what's his number?
He's on the phone right now.
So Jeff, do you? Huh?
This is not a good faith discussion.
Okay, hold on. Here's Jeff. Hold on. So Jeff, go ahead. Go ahead, Jake.
Hey Jeff, it's Jake Lang here. Jeff, First of all, my entire heart rests in your hands. I would be in my position, not even as somebody even knew your son, but somebody that shares the same understanding. I grew up as a 17-year-old young white man too, and I grew up in fear of my life around black people because they were killing and robbing people around me all the time. And I don't understand, as I was a father, you could sit idly by and not condemn the culture that killed your son. There is an epidemic problem in this country, and your voice could be one of the loudest voices in this country, but you've chosen to recoil out of fear and continue the suppression. Why will you not stand with me and with the rest of the people? We're not calling for racial divide. We're not calling for hatred. We're saying 350,000 attacks on white people by black people a year in this country is wrong. Why can't you stand that and say with that? Maybe you can. Would you be willing to stand by me in a press conference or in an individual interview and talk about this issue that is larger than Austin at this point? God rest the beautiful young man's soul that would have been one of our strongest voices if he was still alive today. Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, my turn to speak. You are part of the fucking problem, my friend. You're trying to create more race divide than bridging the gap. I do not condone anything you do. You do not have any fucking...
That's called white guilt.
No, let it talk.
My son, let me finish. I give you your time. You take my son's face off your website. I am not associated with you.
You're creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness, sir.
Thanks.
You are creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness.
You are being weak. I gotta be honest with you about that.
He said that he told the father of the victim that you are creating more Austin Metcalfs because of your weakness. That is that is just as bad as the Carmelo Anthony's minister, I don't know his name, but Next Action News, I believe that's the news site, who said that him showing up to the press conference and not saying anything and just standing there trying to listen is very disrespectful and is showing disrespect to his son's memory. It's crazy. All right, but Jesus.
Sir,
you're being weak. Condemn your son's killer and the culture that caused it.
Hey, Jeff.
He's already he definitely knows. He said that he is the only thing that I remember that Austin Metcalf, he said that he forgives him and he doesn't want any hatred because that is what you need to do to get over. You have to forgive. They're just what Jesus says in the Bible. You need to have forgiveness for others. But Jesus,
Jeff.
That's the problem. You've been submitted.
Hold on, hey, Jeff.
You've been submitted.
I'll handle it from here.
You've been submitted, sir.
Right.
You're not gonna make us back down.
If we were all of your nature,
guys, listen.
You're not gonna say
what a weak man.
Do you know who you're talking to? You don't, do you?
I'm talking to a...
Wow, that is crazy. I couldn't imagine him. You're telling them clear as day that you do not agree with their message and you don't want your son, who was just murdered and killed, that you don't want his picture with your agenda. And then the person says that, oh, you're weak and your weakness is going to cause more kids to die just like your son. That is some crazy things to say. Now, like I said again, I don't think this is a race issue. This is a right or wrong. There's no black or white. I don't think either of the kids had any hatred for the other. I don't think any of that. All I think was that it's two teenagers who have high emotions and can't control their actions or are not good at controlling their actions. And one kid made a terrible life decision and he is going to have to pay for that decision for the rest of his life. It is crazy. Crazy. Now, let's.
A black man.
You don't know. You're not.
Okay.
You sit here. You talk about Trump.
But I am. You're not
Google my name and Trump. No. When you do that, my name is.
I agree with black males.
No, Google that.
But they're not winning right now.
But what you're doing,
they're becoming degenerates.
What you're doing
and murdering white people.
You're not helping America. You're no more patriotic than I am. No way.
Silent is not helping. You've been silent. It's only gotten worse.
Where were you on January 6th?
You've been silent. It's only gotten worse.
Where were you?
It is crazy, but I wanted to see what he was going to say finish that out for what we're talking about with Austin Metcalf's father. But Like, again, remember, this is AC Reviews the World. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'm going to keep updated with everything that's happening with that whole case. Now, the next thing I want to get into is the Shannon Sharpe debacle. The Shannon Sharpe debacle. Now, everything that's happening with Shannon Sharpe, what I've seen so far is that basically a young lady who he was messing with, I think she was 19 at the time, but we will hear some more about it in the video we're going to watch. He was messing with. Now, some people are upset. Some people are, if you look at the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne and them had a whole discussion on if someone that old, because Shannon Sharpe is in his 50s, should be messing with someone 19 years old. And it's legal. My thoughts are it's legal. Is there manipulation to it that he just wants someone to manipulate? I don't know. I think that you like what you like. If an older man and the woman wants to go with him, hey, you can't. She's an adult. She can do what she wants to. Are there some who are trying just to manipulate them? Yes, most likely. But it's a crazy world out here. But at the end of the day, their choices to make for who they want to be with. But let's get right into the video, and let's see what this is talking about.
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Former athlete and media personality now, Shannon Sharpe, is attempting to clear his name after facing a lawsuit for allegedly raping a woman on multiple occasions. His response revealing the name of the accuser and some very X-rated text messages he says he received from her. All right, let's take a look at this. According to the lawsuit, the anonymous woman says it began as a consensual relationship when she was 20 years old. She also accuses Sharpe of a violent sexual assault and rape in October of last year and again in January of this year. The complaint seeks more than $50 million in damage.
$50 million. And I'm assuming emotional damages. And now, are they going for a charge, or is they just going for the money? Now, listen. Accused of sexual assault and battery. So probably a charge to go with it. $50 million. And this is right before, I think this is right before he signed his deal. Yes, right before he signed his deal with, I believe it was ESPN for $100 million. I think it was either $100 million, $200 million for more podcasts. And Jesus, but let's keep going.
Images. Sharpe fired back, posting alleged texts from the woman in the lawsuit on social media. One of them reads, "I want you to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me with it while you're effing me." Another, "I know you miss this big juicy ass, $25,000 for each cheek." And here's another alleged text, "You better crave it, cuz you're gonna be stuck with it for life after you put a big black baby in me." The rest are
That is wild. Now, I don't know how you get sexual assault from this, but I don't know the case, and we just got to see what more evidence that the lady has. But Jesus,
are way too spicy. I don't know what's left. Joining us to talk about it, defense attorney and former Harris County prosecutor by O.G. Akingbala and Factor Digital producer Ajibola Budaran to talk about this case. So your thoughts about this, just looking at it from the outside, your thoughts?
It's a big mess for Shannon Sharpe. Tony Busby is on this case, right?
And he's a Houston-based attorney.
Houston-based attorney.
Been here on The Factor several times.
Yes, and we've seen him file several lawsuits against the likes of P. Diddy, against Jay-Z, which was recently dismissed. And now here we go again against Shannon Sharpe. What sticks out to me, however, is the context of the allegations are different from what you would see on some of these other cases like Diddy, right? Or Cosby, who was putting in date rape drugs in several victims' drinks. In this case, she's saying this is a consensual relationship. We had a lot of consensual sex, and on these 2 or 3 separate occasions, it just so happens that it wasn't consensual. Now, I'm not saying that that's not a thing, and that these situations don't happen within the context of consensual relationships, but I do think it's going to be a lot difficult to prove it, because it begs the question, if it happened one time in October of 2024, how did it then happen again in January of 2024? If it happened at your apartment, as she's alleging, who did you tell? Did you speak to the apartment landowners? Did you call 911? Did you go to the hospital? So there's a concern about provability. And then to add another layer of what might impugn her credibility are the supposed text messages that Shannon Sharpe has. These text messages suggest that she was more of the one initiating these encounters.
The aggressor, well, not aggressor as in crime, but in the relationship.
Yes, initiating the sexual encounter, and that in some cases was even soliciting, saying sex in exchange for cash.
$25,000 for each cheek. That's some. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the prices go for box, but that sounds crazy for some box. That sounds crazy for some box. And if she's offering you some box for some money, she definitely offered some other people. I'm not gonna say that. I don't know her circumstance. I don't know what she's gone through, but I don't know what else I can glean, or I can. That's a crazy word, but whatever comes to mind when I think of $25K for each cheek. That is crazy. But let's keep getting into the video.
$25,000 per cheek. If that is proven to be coming from her, it's really going to undermine the credibility of her allegations. So that being said, even if this is not a case that Tony Buzbee can prove by the preponderance of the evidence, I am concerned about the hit that it has on Shannon Sharpe as a public figure. Because let's say this goes to trial, then there's going to be a lot of public scrutiny of Shannon Sharpe's sex life at age 56 with that of a 19, 20-year-old. It's just not a good look for someone who's employed by Disney.
All right. Aji, what are they saying on social media?
Ooh, I didn't think about Disney. Yeah. He's gonna lose some money from this. He's already looking like he's gonna lose some money, but yeah, this is just gonna cost you some money. At this age, man, you might as well just get you a wife and settle down and just leave all them gold diggers and paid for box, all them girls. You gotta leave them alone, man. You're making all that money, you might as well just settle down, get you an old lady, and relax, and make sure nothing like this comes out again. Yeah, Jesus.
What's the response from people out there?
Well, I would say the kind of big elephant in the room is the fact that Tony Buzbee is on the case. So I think a lot of people still have the memory of the case he put out against Jay-Z and how that fell through. So I think a lot of people are waiting to kind of see if more information comes in, and some people just are writing off the whole case, saying that this is something we just saw a few months ago and nothing came of it. So I think a lot of people, with the text messages and with the controversy around Buzbee, they are kind of taking Shannon's word for it and not really believing that he did this. But again, more.
I don't know if she came to him with this case or he came to her, but I don't know if you should have just not even come to him with this kind of case. But it's just going to make it harder for the case you're trying to. If it really did happen, it's going to make it harder to do anything. But let's keep going.
Information could come out and that might change.
And when we take a look at Buzbee's career, and full disclosure, he's a friend of mine, but he's had a stellar career here in Texas. But there have been, issues with Jay-Z and the P. Diddy case. Not so much as P. Diddy, but the Jay-Z case. And now people are questioning this. But his reputation has been stellar here in the state of Texas and defending elected officials.
Right. Yes, I agree with that. And I think I think the last few cases with them not being in the state of Texas and also being very, very high profile, like celebrities that people, you know, a lot of people love or look up to, I think whenever you can poke holes into something, people are willing to poke those holes in them themselves. So with his record over the last few months, at least outside of the state, I think people are willing to be like, oh, we go to
And Shannon Sharpe has become a beloved figure of sorts as a result of his podcast and the audience that he's captured.
Yeah,
now it is yes. The more I want to say, it is crazy. The more famous you get, the more people will pop out, and there's people who's gonna pop out looking for a payday. We don't know if this is what's happening. We don't know if that's her whole agenda, but it's hard to say. We'll just have to wait and see what lawsuit and how his people are going to respond and what evidence they're going to have. But let's keep going and finish up this video.
He's that's what they call him. He's the unk. So everybody looks up to him as like kind of like that adult male figure, older guy who, you know, gives advice and talks about relationships, sports, and all types of stuff. So I don't think people really want to see him associated with this. But he has been open with his sexual life over the last few months. So I don't think people are that surprised, especially with those text messages.
Who was Jack Sparrow, the actor who played Jack Sparrow?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. This case reminds me so much of the Johnny Depp case. I mean,
now that Johnny Depp case was insane. Talking about Amber Heard, her pooping on the bed, and oh my God, I was watching that every single day that trial came out. I'm either watching the highlights or I'm watching the case itself. That was crazy.
Assuming these allegations are not true, right? It still took a major hit on Johnny Depp's career. Even when he went to trial and he was vindicated, he lost that role. And so my concern for Shannon Sharpe is, even if these allegations are not proven to be true.
Now I know that, well, I don't know, but I haven't done the research on it, but I've seen to where Disney wants, because I believe it's Disney who owns Pirates of the Caribbean, they want Johnny Depp back. After all that was settled, they're begging for him to come back and offering him buckloads of money. I don't know if he's going to do it, but he said he would never work with them again. But if they offer him a crazy amount now, Johnny Depp made that Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. But let's finish up this last little bit from this video.
He may take a significant hit on that beloved stature that he has with the American public.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Yes, exactly. That is the main thing that's going to come out of all of this is that he's going to have to deal with the backlash of all this that's going to have an effect on the money. The money is the main. It's going to have an effect on any sponsorship, brand deals. Are going to want to try to get away from him and stop having any contact with him at all. That is what's going to happen. But we're going to keep updated on the lawsuit itself, and we're going to keep finding out and bringing more information about it. Now, the next thing I want to get into, we're going to get into some more updates on the Dallas high school shooting. Now, they've had some security footage that they released, and we're going to watch a little video on that and just see if we can just watch and see what's happening between what's going through. You can just tell watching the security cam video what's going through, or infer what's going through the minds of the people. But let's get into that video and hear a little bit more about that.
New security footage that you're seeing here is now showing us some of those terrifying moments after shots rang out inside a high school in Dallas. In that footage, we could see students running and taking cover. This afternoon, we're also learning more about the suspect who turned himself in to police shortly after that shooting on Tuesday. The suspect. New security footage that you're seeing here is now showing us some of those terrifying moments after shots rang out inside a high school in Dallas. In that footage, we could see students running and taking cover. This afternoon, we're also learning more about the suspect who turned himself in to police shortly after that shooting on Tuesday. The suspect is 17-year-old Tracy Haynes Jr. And we're also getting some new insight in what led up to the shooting. According to an arrest affidavit, an unidentified student let the suspect into the school through an unsecured door Tuesday. That's when investigators say that Haynes shot multiple students, including including one person at point blank range. Now, a man who leads an anti-violence community organization says that he met with Haynes and helped facilitate that teen's surrender.
It was obvious that he had some sense of fear, whether it was from the people he had the altercation with or whether it was from law enforcement.
Now the teen is facing several charges as an adult under Texas law.
Now that is interesting. Now let's get into some more about this. He had his bond trial, or yes, I believe his bond trial. So let's watch a little bit of that.
Tomorrow marks 1 week since 4 people were shot and wounded at Wilmer Hutchins High School, and we have several big updates to share. Prosecutors now tell us that a teacher was also wounded, grazed by a bullet. That's in addition to the 3 students who suffered gunshot wounds. But investigators now say the suspect's gun jammed, so it could have been even worse. And a judge has just decided not to reduce the bond for that teenage suspect. Let's get to Cole Sullivan for an update on that hearing in Dallas County.
The suspected Wilmer Hutchins High School shooter is back in jail after a Dallas County judge didn't buy the defense argument Tracy Haynes Jr. should have a reduced bond.
If my client wanted to kill someone, it would have happened. He let this young man go.
New surveillance angles show Haynes' .40 caliber handgun jamming mid-shooting, saving the life of one of the wounded.
Come on now. You cannot try to make the argument that this man would have killed him if he really wanted to, when you could clearly see in the video his gun jammed, him still trying to shoot it, and God was looking out. Jeez.
Wounded students, prosecutors say.
But for the grace of God that gun jammed, that he is still alive and recovering in the hospital.
Prosecutors say Haynes previously served 6.
Y'all see him laughing? Y'all see that? He's laughing a little bit. This is crazy.
6 months juvenile probation for assaulting a fellow student.
Repeatedly punched the person in the face just because they were mean mugging him.
His defense attorney says classmates threatened Haynes and that he acted out of fear and to protect his family.
Mr. Haynes does not pose a threat to the community. Mr. Haynes only posed a threat to the young men, the gang members that threatened him.
That's who he targeted, his lawyer says. Haynes' family say they would have made sure he followed conditions of a reduced bond, but they currently can't afford to bail him out.
It's still an ongoing investigation, and we're standing in.
So he was, the main thing he was going for the gang members, he says. Now I mean, shooting up a school is crazy. I guess when you live inside of that, I don't know, man. That's insane. I've never been on that side of the law, so I don't. Shooting up a school, a church, anything like that just seems crazy to me. I feel like back in the day it was like those laws where you can't shoot, you're not going to shoot him with his kid when he's with his kids or when he's with his parents or in church. You're not going to do all that. But let's keep going. Finish up this video.
Solidarity with Tracy for him, and some of these schools have to do something about these bullying and all of these threats.
As Haynes Jr. remains in jail, staff are preparing to come back to campus here at Wilmer Hutchins High School tomorrow. Students will be back on Wednesday, asked to learn in the same building where 4 of their classmates were shot. In southern Dallas, I'm Cole Sullivan.
That is crazy. Jesus. No one would think that he would get bail reduction. So he's going to have to, it looks like he's going to have to sit in jail. I mean, which he rightfully deserves. It shouldn't be. Now, if he was bullied, yes, he should have told somebody. I don't know what type of situation. He said it was gang members. We don't know. I don't know anything about all that, but you need to talk about that. You need to tell somebody if you're getting bullied, you definitely cannot, because we seen all that. You can't shoot up the school for bullets, because you never know what's going to happen. You could kill somebody innocent. It's sad. It's sad if kids truly feel that the only way that they can survive is if they try to shoot up the bully at school, if they shoot the bully in general, if they're outside of school, and the bullies they can't be, bullying is just ignorant. There's no reason that that students going to school for learning should have to deal with something like bullying. But it's gone throughout all our lives. Is that the problem? Well, I don't know, but that was the updates for the Dallas high school shooting with Tracy. And it's a sad world, but we got to keep living it. But the next thing I want to get into is we're going to look at a video where landlord who owns the building is talking about how this woman owes 3 years of back rent, and that comes up to $60,000. Now let's watch a little bit of this and let's get into it.
A Bed-Stuy landlord is battling to evict a tenant who has not paid rent in 3 years and owes tens of thousands of dollars. Thanks for joining us tonight here on News 12 Brooklyn. I'm Amanda Bossert. News 12's Daniela Rodriguez spoke with that landlord exclusively about the toll that this has taken on him and his family.
I'm gonna make them so scared to come out this building.
Words from a tenant who owes nearly $60,000 in back rent over the course of 3 years.
I'm trying to do the right thing, trying to go to the right channel, like within the law. But it's like I'm getting no result.
Kamar Lafayette says he's been fighting to get this tenant out of her apartment on the second floor.
She just doing the most outrageous things.
Lafayette ended up putting security cameras everywhere to prove she consistently violates rules, like smoking indoors, ripping off signs that say no garbage in the hallway, and lifting floorboards, causing a leak in the first floor apartment.
No respect. Well, if she's not paying rent, of course she's not going to respect the place. But it's crazy how you do so much that the courts will stop you from even kicking out someone who's not paying rent and not honoring what y'all agreed to. It's crazy. I understand the times are hard, but if you can't afford your rent, find a way to afford your rent. That's all. There's nothing else you can do about it. Now, laws say you can't just kick them out. That's where a lot of people get arrested. They try to force the tenant or the tenant. It's a squatter at this point. A squatter out of the house. They're gonna do whatever they can. Technically, definitely, lawfully, you cannot do that. Personally, I don't need to get them out the house, but you got to do something that, hey, it's my house. I just suddenly got a giant roach infestation. I don't know. Something's they're gonna leave the house, man. It's gonna be, and then there's no, oh, you need to fix. Nah. The house it's over with. It's shutting down, and as soon as they leave and they're gone the doors is locked. Camera on the doors. As soon as they try to break in, everything's going in the house. It's an empty house. They're gonna have to. Then I'm calling the law. Nah, you trespassing now.
Where his mother lives. She's also seen on camera leaving the front door wide open, which he says poses a safety risk to him and his family.
She does
One
not
of the
care
tenant's
at all.
children answered the door, and when I asked for the tenant herself,
You don't have anything to say?
she said,
No.
10 minutes after I knocked on the door, the cops showed up. Lafayette says this situation is hurting his family, and all he wants is justice for landlords.
My mortgage is crazy. I can't go to the bank and tell the bank that I can't pay my mortgage.
Now, you definitely can't. You cannot. The bank is going to look at you like you're crazy. Well, your mortgage, you got to pay it. Don't. If your tenants ain't paying, you got to pay it. That is, cannot do it, man.
Is what the people raise their.
Now, that is basically it for that video. I know during the COVID pandemic, a lot of landlords were up in arms because they legally could not evict the tenants. It was basically an eviction freeze. If I'm saying this right now, if I'm wrong, always feel free to correct me. But it was basically an eviction freeze, and no matter what you did, you could not evict them. It would take months, and you still have to keep the same. You got to keep providing the same things you are already providing. So if you was providing water, power, sewer, all that has to stay on, and that has to be paid. You cannot do that, or the cops will send you to jail, which is mind-boggling to me. But that is it for that video, and let's get into this next thing we're talking about. So we're looking at a Houston shooting that happened most recently, where Harris County deputy was injured in the shootout. So we're going to watch a little bit of that and see what that's talking about.
We are following breaking news, a very interesting scene unfolding here in downtown Houston. We have a Precinct 1 deputy by the name of Sheila Jones that was shot a couple of hours ago. She is unstable. We just learned that information a short time ago. It happened near the Criminal Justice Complex. That's in the 1100 block of Congress. Let's go out to our Jade Fleury now, who is live down there with some more details on this officer-involved shooting. Jade.
Well, Anthony, as you can see, the scene is still very active. HPD's out here, the sheriff's office is out here. Multiple blocks are blocked off. We are right here on San Jacinto Street and Congress. And like you said, officials have identified the female deputy as Precinct 1 deputy Sheila Jones, a 30-year veteran of law enforcement. Officials say that deputies saw the suspect walking from 201 Caroline Street with a weapon. A deputy noticing that suspect with a gun began chasing the man, and a shootout occurred near the Harris County Family Law Center. The female deputy being one of the people shot and the suspect being the other. 4 deputies were also involved in the shootout, but it is unclear how many of them actually shot at the suspect. All of this happening around 12:30 this afternoon. Deputy Jones was taken to St. Joseph's Hospital because it was the closest in the area, but it was determined that she would be transported to Memorial Hermann for her injuries. Like you said, we are told that Deputy Jones is in stable condition. And again, she has 30 years of experience in law enforcement, and she's a major at the sheriff's office assigned to the county attorney's building. She's also this is what officials had to say about the incident.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a difficult day down here in the courthouse complex. Every day, deputies come to this location to make sure that jurors, judges, commissioners, staff, and citizens are safe when they come to these buildings. And today at approximately 12:20, we received information that a man with a weapon was walking from 201 Caroline in the direction down the street.
So you just walking out and about with your gun out? With a weapon out? The only reason you're doing that, you're trying to commit a crime. That's the only reason. So, Jesus.
Towards the Family Law Center. He passed the jury assembly building, and a deputy gave chase when he spotted the man that was reported as having a weapon. He chased that man across these streets here, across San Jacinto, down Congress, and at that time, a series of deputies encountered the man, and a shootout ensued. on the plaza at 1115 Congress. At that point in time, the suspect was hit, as well as one of the deputies that worked for us. The constable was in a pay parity hearing in Austin at the time, and he is now en route to the hospital. The deputy was hit in the back, as I understand, and she was transported immediately by a patrol unit to St. Joseph's Hospital, where she was assessed, and it was decided that it was in her best interest to transport her to UT Memorial, which is where she is now. The suspect was transported by ambulance after being triaged by on-site emergency medical responders and is now at Memorial Hermann Hospital. The deputies that were engaged in the exchange, along with the deputy that was hit, are now being interviewed, as is standard process. I am very, very thankful to our partners at the Sheriff's Department and HPD who immediately came out to our aid to support us, and I am supported here today by several outstanding leaders who have offered support to Constable Rosen, who has been in contact with the family and who is immediately on his way to check on the condition of the deputy and to console her family.
Now, there's another video we want to look at that is basically talking about the suspect has been charged. So we're going to watch a little bit of this, and so we can actually see the suspect and see who was out of their mind enough to walk around with the gun out, ready to do some crazy stuff. But let's get into it.
County Precinct 1 deputy remains in the hospital here at noon following a shootout in downtown Houston Monday, and the man accused of shooting her has been identified. Sheila Jones was shot in the back just after noon yesterday. She was called to the area after reports of a man with a weapon walking down the street toward the Family Law Center. That was when several deputies ran toward him. The suspect then shot Jones, we're told. Law enforcement officers returned fire, hitting the suspect several times. DA Sean Tier is crediting Deputy Sheila Jones with likely preventing a mass casualty event. We now know the suspect is 34 years.
Now, this man looks crazy. Tattoos all over the face, cross. Oh, yeah, he was... His eyes look low, man. This man is so. Oh my God.
4-year-old Parnell Bland.
He was bonded out of jail last week.
He faces charges of aggravated assault against a public servant and felon in possession of a weapon. He had actually just bonded out of jail on a trespassing charge last week.
Some people never learn. I mean, some people are always going to commit crimes. You're just bonded out last week and you immediately get into a shootout with the police a week later? Crazy.
Week and has multiple felony convictions. He is expected to survive.
Today our prayers were answered, and I can't thank the public for the amount of prayers that have rolled in since this incident happened today. So I want to first by saying thank you to the public for their thoughts, prayers, because they were answered. Deputy Sheila Jones, who's a 30-plus year law enforcement veteran, was shot, and thankfully she had a bulletproof vest on, which saved her from any internal injuries. This was a disturbance, a weapons disturbance, right in our courthouse complex, where we have people that transact business and work every single day. And this could have really been a very bad situation. So law enforcement does what it does, and that means that we neutralize the threat very quickly. And the actual shooter was shot multiple times and is being treated at Memorial Hermann Hospital. Sheila Jones has been with our office and was a former Harris County Sheriff's Office major. She's in good spirits. She's being tended to by the best doctors in the country, and we're thankful for them. I'm also extremely thankful to our law enforcement partners that responded so quickly. You know, in law enforcement, it really is a family, and today was a true testament of that.
Now, let's make sure we keep her. I know she's in stable condition, what they says, but let's make sure she has a good recovery. It sounds like she did her job and she did what she was supposed to do. We need to make sure that we keep police presence is a very important thing. As a person who likes to be a law-abiding citizen and who likes to live in a place with laws, I want to be able to, if an emergency happens and I call the police, I want to make sure that they get there in a timely manner. So that means we need a good amount of police presence. You don't want to call the police and then end up waiting. No. Something's happening. I need you there now. Come on now. It's an emergency. This is your job. This is what we pay you our tax dollars for. But that Houston shooting that happened. I think it was yesterday, but let's remember, let's keep everybody in our prayers, and hopefully the dude who did this stays in jail some more. But the last thing for the show that I want to get into is Oklahoma police officer is now under a new federal lawsuit for excessive force against I think he was a Chinese individual. Now we're going to get into this video. Now the excessive force happened about 4 months ago, if my timeline's right, but let's get into this video.
New reaction to a federal lawsuit filed by the family of an elderly man taken to the ground during a traffic stop.
Might remember it happened back in October and quickly made national and international headlines. 71-year-old Lee Vu suffered a brain bleed and was knocked unconscious when a now former officer took him to the ground after Vu tapped on the officer's chest and told him to shut up. As we've told you, Vu's family intended to sue.
Now that lawsuit has...
1-year-old Lee Vu suffered a brain bleed and was knocked unconscious when a now...
Do you see? Look at how his head hit the ground. That is crazy. Let's back it up just a tad bit.
Lines. 71-year-old Lee Vu suffered a brain bleed and was knocked unconscious when a now former officer took him to the ground after Vu tapped on the officer's chest and told him to shut up. As we...
Family needs some money, man, because that is crazy.
We've told you Vu's family intended to sue.
Now that lawsuit has officially been filed against the former officer, Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma's Attorney General. News 4's John Haynes spoke with Vu's attorney today, and John, he says taxpayers need to pay attention to this.
I think they said he suffered a brain bleed from that. That is crazy.
Haynes.
That's right, Jolene. The lawsuit does ask for compensation, which could hurt taxpayers if the city isn't prepared for a potential loss. Meantime, Attorney General Gentner Drummond and one of the former officer's attorneys are standing by him.
Your vehicle is not like that. Sit down. No. You sit down.
This body camera video from an October traffic stop in Oklahoma City is now at the center of a federal lawsuit.
Mr. Gibson broke Mr. Vu is what he did, and he broke that family.
Devin M. Jacob filed the lawsuit Monday on behalf of his client, 71-year-old Liv Vu, and his family. Former Oklahoma City Police Sergeant Joseph Gibson caught on camera slamming Vu to the ground after Vu told him to shut up and tapped his vest with the back of his...
If this isn't a clear indication of an abuse of force, of too much force, it is... I don't know what is. The video is very clear to me. It doesn't even look like, let's back it up just a little tad bit. Doesn't even look like he really touched him like that. He told him to be quiet.
Vu and his family. Former Oklahoma City Police Sergeant Joseph Gibson caught on camera slamming Vu to the ground after Vu told him to shut up and tapped his vest with the back of his wrist. Gibson told a paramedic this.
I grabbed a hold of him, he fell.
Vu suffered a brain bleed, broken bones, and the loss.
Nah. You heard that what he said?
Gibson told a paramedic this.
I grabbed a hold of him, he fell.
Vu suffered a brain bleed, broken bones, and the lawsuit says he's now experiencing a permanent cognitive decline. Toon Nguyen, president of the Vietnamese American Heritage Community of Oklahoma, has kept in touch with Vu's family.
Once something is broken, it's hard to piece together the pieces.
Oklahoma County District Attorney Vicki Behenna filed felony assault charges. Attorney General Gentner Drummond later dropped them, saying Gibson acted within the scope of his training. Vu's legal team is now seeking civil justice.
I need to replay that a little bit more. Hold on, there it is.
Police Sergeant Joseph Gibson caught on camera slamming Vu to the ground after Vu told him to shut up.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
Policymaker for the city and the police department on this issue.
The city won't comment on pending litigation. The AG's office told me, quote, the Attorney General has been clear that no one has the right to make unwanted physical contact with our police officers. He will always stand with law enforcement when they are performing lawful duties.
I look forward to questioning him about it under oath during his deposition.
Gibson's attorney.
Did that little tap hurt him that much where he slammed him like that, give him a brain bleed? That is crazy.
Going one step further, writing, quote, this lawsuit completely distorts the facts surrounding the incident. Sergeant Gibson reacted to a confrontational and belligerent individual consistent with his training. I'm confident the federal court will validate that.
They can say what they want, but the police department's own use of force expert said it's too much.
The big ask here, including the jury trial, an oral and written apology, as well as monetary damages. But what does that mean for the city and taxpayer dollars if money hasn't been set aside for a potential loss?
There's different avenues and mechanisms that sometimes come into play here that relieve the burden.
If that doesn't happen in this case, Jacob has harsh advice.
Maybe get better leaders in place, more qualified persons in place who can actually govern correctly.
Now, no court dates have been scheduled yet. Gibson, the city, and AG will have 60 days to file their responses after they've been served or waive that serving. From there, they'll be able to file an answer to, admit or deny the allegations in the lawsuit, or even file a motion to dismiss it outright.
That is the show. Thank y'all for watching, and remember, this is AC Reviews the World. Remember to like and subscribe. And like always, I'm going to end it out. I like to play the intro again. We're just going to go ahead and do that. But remember to like and subscribe. And y'all see me again. And let's review the world together some more. Now let's get it.